So, is there a wokeness problem in Hollywood? Yes, but there doesn't have to be. That was me in December 2023. Embarrassing, in my opinion. Up until that point, I avoided politics on my YouTube channel like a plague. And then I had a bit of an anti-woke phase throughout late 2023, 2024, and the beginning of 2025. But over the past 7 or 8 months, I've had an awakening. It's all bullshit. All of it is bullshit. And since then, some people who are fans of my anti-woke videos haven't been a fan of the new me. The woke me. So I thought I'd make this video to go over all of the things I've learned about all of the anti-woke YouTube grifters' talking points and explain why I've gone woke. In a web of lies, some of them can be too big and too blatantly incorrect that they make the entire facade begin to crumble. Which leads me to what was the tipping point, which got me out of the anti-woke brainwashing. A show some of you may have seen some stuff about. The Disney Plus Marvel show, Ironheart. I didn't think it looked amazing or anything when I saw the trailer for it, but when I saw how all of the grifters on YouTube grasped for whatever points they would be able to use for why this is yet another bad woke show, I noticed it was all a bunch of nonsense. Specifically, these two main points that so many of them kept bringing up. Ironheart is a bad, unlikable protagonist because she is a narcissist. Yeah, well, Tony was an egotist, overcoming his ego and finding out how to step up to be the selfless hero who lives up to the name Iron Man was literally a massive part of the journey he went on in the MCU. And so then there was the argument that, despite what the show wants you to believe, being able to build an Iron Man-like metal suit doesn't make Ironheart any special. Because as Obadiah Stane said in Iron Man 1, Tony was able to build it in a cave with a box of scraps. But Tony was also a billionaire with a history in weapons technology, and calling what he had at his disposal in the cave just a bunch of scraps is a bit of an under-exaggeration, as what he actually built the Iron Man suit with was a bunch of weapons technology. Oh, but a character who is canonically a villain said it, so it must be true. And after that, I began to realize how embarrassingly idiotic the entire anti-woke thing is and always has been. Like the infamous heel versus babyface video about the video game Starfield.
Hey, do you know what I love? Hey, Bethesda. Oi, cow, shut your fucking cake hole. Hey, Bethesda. There is nothing I love more. Taking my headphones off, fuck that. Bethesda, there is nothing I love more than to sit down, comfy chair, turn on my PC, fire up a brand new RPG, lose myself, think, oh my God, just think of this world, just think of all the planets I can visit, all the immersive things that I can get involved with, all the fights, all the relationships, all the people I meet, all the places I go. I'm so excited to go there. And you know, I love nothing more than, with all of that laid out in front of me, I love nothing more than to be dragged out at every fucking conceivable opportunity so you can fucking current day us. Sorry, did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Fucking pronouns! Fucking gender ambiguity! Fucking current day Californian shit! Because that's all we fucking know! Because we're boring! We're so fucking boring!
I always found the conservative outrage about pronouns to be very stupid and pointless. Pronouns have always been a thing, even before discussions about trans people became something mainstream. If you are a dude, people say stuff like he, him, his, etc. when talking about you. If you are a woman, the opposite. And putting aside how the pronouns in bio thing is often used by trans people, if someone has an account on, say, Twitter for example, and so profile picture isn't an actual photo of them and is instead either a fictional character, a company logo, etc., doesn't it make sense for them to put their pronouns in their bio? That way if anyone sees their account and is curious, they don't even have to ask them what they should call that individual. And to any conservatives who might say, well, why does it matter if I misgender someone? Okay, walk up to a mother, for example, and start calling the mom a dude. I bet she will react very well to that and will not feel disrespected in any way, even if she isn't a trans woman. My point is, the idea of people using pronouns is not a new concept. Pronouns have existed for a long period of time. I feel stupid having to explain this. And you wanna know why Heel vs. Babyface had that massive meltdown about that video game? Because in its character customization feature, it allowed people playing it to decide what pronouns their character has in the game. And that's it. Heel vs. Babyface had an embarrassing tantrum online because he was upset because he somehow at age 50 doesn't know that pronouns have always been in everything to ever exist. We even use pronouns day to day when we aren't even talking about people. Can you pass me my soda? It's over there on the table. It is a pronoun. This is basic English, but enough talking about pronouns.
Fucking pronouns!
Something else I always found kinda silly was the idea that Miles Morales isn't Spider-Man. I'm not even saying everyone has to like the character Miles Morales. If you don't, that's okay. But to say he isn't Spider-Man because this guy isn't this guy completely misses the entire point of what the Spider-Man mask symbolizes. Take it from Stan Lee himself. He wears a mask so that anyone, whether they are white, black, etc., can see themselves in the character. As long as all the fundamental values of Spider-Man are intact, like how with great power comes great responsibility, it doesn't matter who is behind the mask. It can be Toby, Tom Holland, Miles, Anya, etc. And if you are someone making shows and movies and want to include a character who may be black, female, etc., you just can't win. Because people complain and get mad when you change an already existing character's gender, ethnicity, etc., and tell you to make original diverse characters. But then, when you do that, the same people will still get mad. Miles Morales is not just a black Peter Parker. He is his own character with his own personality, background, etc. Yet the character still gets hate. And what's also kind of insane is that many of the people who hate on these characters will do it even if it means flip-flopping on things they already said. Like, for example, the popular grifter on YouTube, Eric July, aka Young Ripper. Take what he had to say about Miles Morales in 2018, and then what he says about the character now that he knows he can grift off of the hate the character gets from bigots.
Yeah, some characters have been written decently that are of different races and have suited up in the suit of a hero or a version of that hero. One of the more obvious is Miles Morales as Spider-Man. Miles Morales has his own background. This is far better than just simply making Peter Parker a black guy.
Talking about Peter Darker.
I define everybody that's not Peter Parker as an unoriginal Peter Parker.
Wow, and I thought Kanye was bipo. I mean, and you may be wondering how a black man could be doing something out of bigotry. Well, as a white guy, I don't feel comfortable telling a black man what he is, so I'm gonna play a clip of the Birdman, an awesome YouTuber who happens to be black, explaining how Eric July is contributing to racism.
I said all that to say that the term house nigga or house negro is, surprise, surprise, a black American English term that refers to a very specific type of behavior from certain black people. Specifically, it refers to black white supremacists and is a term rooted in the days of slavery where the slave master would divide his slaves into two groups, those that worked in the house and those that worked in the field. Because the house Negro worked in the house with the master, they were treated a little bit better than those that worked in the field. And because of this preferential treatment, the house Negro would essentially do the bidding of the master and himself treat the field Negro more or less the exact same way the master would, causing a schism between the two.
Who this nigga up on that nag? I'll snatch your black ass off that nag down here in the mud so fast make your head.
Steven. Django here is a Freeman.
This nigga here?
That nigga there.
People like Eric July uphold white supremacist talking points and do the bidding of white supremacists by denigrating other black people, essentially doing their job for them. Eric has befriended an obvious racist piece of garbage in Ass from Heel vs. Babyface, runs a podcast with him, and hired him to write for his comic book company. Coupled with the nonsense Eric has said about black people and black characters in fiction, this is why I call him what I called him. House Negroes are a barrier to equality for black Americans, something we have literally been dealing with since slavery, and it's important for us to identify these people so that those who are unaware don't fall for this form of grift.
The entire video by The Bold Man is linked in the description below. I recommend checking it out after you finish this video. He's made a ton of videos debunking anti-woke people, and when I myself was anti-woke, I originally reacted kinda negatively to his videos about the topic, but they are actually very good. Another laughable thing about all of these anti-woke people online is that they all like to pretend like they know what the fuck they're talking about. They know all about comic books, Marvel, DC, etc. But they blatantly don't know anything. Let's take one final look at Eric July, for example. He's one of the guys that make you think they are very knowledgeable about what they talk about. Yet, he couldn't even tell you the significance of Amazing Fantasy number 15.
Here, I'll give you an example. Why, you've read Amazing Fantasy number 15, right?
Go back to ISOM. What about it are you asking? What specific
wait. You've read Amazing Fantasy number 15, right?
What specific action are you asking pertaining to ISOM?
No. I'm going to get stuck on this one. You've read Amazing Fantasy number 15, right?
Let's talk about ISOM. You just asked me a question. Let's quit moving the goalposts. What specifically about the ISOM book is pertaining to like an action that you're asking about his motivations?
Dude, have you read Amazing Fantasy number 15?
All right, this isn't a gotcha. Can you please answer the question pertaining to ISOM?
It kind of fucking is. You're talking about being a comic book fan.
Can you please answer the question?
Holy shit, do you know what Amazing Fantasy 15 is?
There are plenty of people that don't
Do you know what Amazing Fantasy 15 is?
There are plenty of people that don't know who Spider-Man is, dipshit. We know that Spider-Man is in the Amazing Fantasy number 15.
Now, I am someone who just watches the movies and TV shows, and I don't even collect comics, but yet, even I know that Amazing Fantasy number 15 is significant because it was the very first comic that had Spider-Man in it. What is his excuse? Also, as another example, look at the way one of the biggest YouTube grifters, The Critical Drinker, fails at analyzing media. After the Barbie movie came out, he made a video in which he gave his analysis of how the movie was advertised and how the movie actually was. And just listen to this.
Now, before I dive into this review properly, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work and genius PR campaign of the Warner Brothers marketing department. You guys really pulled off a miracle with this one, successfully duping all of us, including me, into believing that Barbie was going to be just another colourful, light-hearted, easygoing family comedy with some cheeky self-aware humour, ironic meta-gags, and probably capped off with a blandly inoffensive female empowerment message about girls learning the value of their own potential.
It's so stupid. He paints this fantastical picture of rainbows and sunshine. Oh, another light-hearted family comedy. As if that's even what the trailer for the movie was promising. Even though the trailer that they put out for the movie literally had a scene of the main character saying,
"Do you guys ever think about dying?"
wow, so positive and light-hearted. So stupid. But what's also very stupid is what he would go on to say about the movie itself, claiming it was this huge anti-man movie, where the ultimate message of it is that men are evil and everyone should hate men.
What none of us expected was 114 minutes of spiteful, bitter, mean-spirited, borderline unhinged hatred of men and everything even vaguely associated with them. Barbie is like the deformed, mutated rage child of Captain Marvel, Ghostbusters 2016 and She-Hulk. It is pure brain cancer in movie form, and I was genuinely shocked by the sheer, undisguised contempt this film has towards 50% of the human population.
As someone who watched it when it came out, I can tell you this is absolute nonsense. This movie that so many people walked away from saying they found Ken to be the best aspect and most relatable character in the movie, this is an anti-man movie. You think it was an accident that they made Ken so sympathetic? They just accidentally made him a very likable character? If you actually pay attention, the message of the movie isn't that women should be at the top of the patriarchy and men should be at the bottom of it. That is just how it is in the universe that Barbie comes from. So that then, when Barbie comes to our universe where it's the opposite, the movie can have both genders, men and women, experience what it's like to be constantly treated like they are less than just because of something they can't control. The message of the movie is that the patriarchy is bad and sexism is bad, no matter who it is that it is affecting. It's a very nuanced movie, actually. And of course, these people such as the critical drinker who often get accused of hating women just so happen to want you to believe that a movie like this is just a man-hating movie, so that you don't actually go to watch it if you are a man, and you don't actually get exposed to its message. Oh, also, this movie's existence completely goes against the anti-woke talking point and slogan, "Go woke, go broke." You wanna know how successful the Barbie movie was despite being very woke? Its budget was $145 million, and in the box office, it made $1.4 billion. And you might say, oh, that movie is just an exception. But no, the slogan isn't "Go woke, go broke sometimes." Go woke, usually go broke. It's "Go woke, go broke." Meaning, if it is true, you must always go broke whenever you go woke. And another example. I'm not a huge fan of Disney Star Wars, but many people say the main issue with it is how woke it is. The main character in the sequel trilogy was literally an overpowered female character. But yet, every movie in the sequel trilogy made over $1 billion in the box office. And the Disney Star Wars movie that made the least amount of money was the one that they made about Han Solo, a white male character. Another example, Avengers Endgame. That movie had multiple female main characters, multiple black main characters, a scene where Captain America hands the shield and effectively the mantle of Captain America over to Sam Wilson, a black man. And the movie even had a scene where all of the female superheroes in the MCU stand together during the final battle of the movie. And it was a very on-the-nose message. Avengers Endgame was undeniably the wokest movie the MCU ever made up to that point. And you know what else? It was not only the most successful MCU movie up to that point, but it also became the second most financially successful movie ever made, making over $2.7 billion. And anti-woke YouTubers have been saying that, oh, since Endgame, the MCU has been failing and has become a dying franchise. But that completely ignores the fact that Avengers Endgame was the grand finale to a story that was an entire decade and 3 phases in the making, and was a pretty good jumping off point for many people at the time. But even when you do take that into consideration, Marvel Studios has had many successful movies post-Endgame. No Way Home, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Deadpool vs. Wolverine, just to name a few. And then for the movies that did make a lot of money, but it isn't as undeniable how massive of a success they ended up being, these anti-woke people on YouTube will say, oh, well, when you also include the marketing budget, those movies actually didn't make even. But that's another thing. The amount of money spent on marketing a movie is typically not public information. The only data these grifters can even go off of is just other people making estimated guesses. And yet these YouTubers act like those guesses are undeniable facts. And even when met with opposing evidence, they still continue saying the same stuff. Take the new Superman movie. James Gunn literally came out and made a public statement saying the movie was indeed a financial success. But yet, anti-woke YouTubers keep saying it wasn't. Even though, if anyone would know, I'm pretty sure it would be James Gunn, as he is literally the guy who is now in charge of DC. But yet, listen to how idiotically doom and gloom the critical drinker talks about the state of DC after only one animated series, one live action series that just got a second season, and one Superman movie that was so successful it's already been confirmed it's going to be getting a spin-off movie and basically a sequel about Superman and Lex.
Just keep telling yourself that James Gunn's amazing and everything's gonna somehow work out fine. But it turns out that everything didn't work out fine. The James Gunn honeymoon period is well and truly over now, the enthusiasm has died down, and after one underwhelming movie and 2 disappointing TV shows, the whole world seems to be coming to the same realization. This whole James Gunn thing probably wasn't a good idea, was it?
He is only still saying this stuff because he doesn't want to admit that he was incorrect. And everyone successful in the anti-woke ecosystem does this. It's a very big brother, don't believe what you see, believe me type of mindset. They want you to think that everything they have ever said is correct and based in facts. They know what they are talking about. That way you keep going to them in the future to know what is going on in media and entertainment. And politics, as a lot of them also talk about politics on those channels as well. But when you do what I've done and take an actual deep look at everything they say, you find out not only are they full of shit now, they've always been full of shit. You may have seen this image of the president of Lucasfilms, Kathleen Kennedy, and a bunch of women wearing t-shirts that say, "The Force is female." That's because almost every anti-woke YouTuber likes to constantly bring it up again and again as a way of saying, see how much they're trying to make Star Wars political? This was one of the very first major controversies that began all of the discussions about wokeness. But this is what many of you probably don't know. Those t-shirts had nothing to do with Star Wars. They were actually made for a 2018 Nike campaign, which was trying to get women to buy Nike shoes. Because the Force, as in the Air Force, is female, not as in what Jedis use. Oh, but what were you saying, Yellow Flash?
She won the award and decided to double down on having the Force be female and so on and so on. future Star Wars movie will be directed by a woman.
Oh, okay. Another controversy that was not only one of the oldest ones to involve the topic of wokeness, but was even the controversy that made many of these anti-woke YouTubers famous in the very beginning, was what I call the Brie Larson hate campaign. For anyone who doesn't know, Brie Larson is the actress who plays the character Captain Marvel in the MCU, and so many people made videos after videos demonizing this actress, making it seem like she is this massive SJW who hates fans and is gonna be the one who single-handedly destroys the MCU, all because of one thing she said.
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him.
I'm not joking. That one clip from all the way back in 2018 is what caused a massive hate campaign online. One that still has people talking about how terrible she is, even to this day. But she's not the only actress these anti-woke YouTubers have created hate campaigns against. No. Villainizing women in the industry is one of the things they love to do the most. I want to bring you guys' attention to Rachel Zegler, an up-and-coming actress who many of you probably know about because of that new live-action Disney movie she played Snow White in, and then got a lot of hate because of it. With anti-woke people calling Rachel Zegler's adaptation of the character many definitely not racist things, such as Snow Brown. Get it? Because she isn't white? But I don't want to talk about that controversy in this video. Instead, I want to talk about one involving the 2023 DC movie Shazam! Fury of the Gods. You see, Rachel Zegler got cast as one of the characters in the movie, and then she gave an interview, and she seemingly completely blasted and crapped on the movie that she was getting paid money to be in. I mean, look at how all of the anti-woke YouTubers talked about it.
While all this was going on, she'd also landed a supporting role in Shazam 2, which wasn't exactly career-making stuff, but rather the kind of easy, undemanding job that actors take for a quick payday. The thing is though, you're not supposed to say that part out loud, but that's exactly what she did during the film's press tour.
What made you want to step into this world of DC heroes? I needed a job. I'm being so serious.
It was like she had no filter, no idea of what's appropriate to say, no understanding that she was basically shitting on the film before it was even released. A film that was literally the second role of her entire career by that point. You're not quite so high that you can look down on movies like Shazam 2, Rachel.
But this is actually defamation, as what they did was take this interview out of context so that they could use it to push a narrative about how ungrateful and unlikable she is. As when you take a look at what is the entire clip, you see that only seconds after it got cut off, she said this.
No, I mean, the reality was we were in the middle of a pandemic and I was not working and I couldn't get a job for the life of me because West Side Story hadn't come out yet, and it was really hard to book work for me. So I was really excited when this came in my inbox. I loved the first movie, and the fact that they even wanted me to come in for a callback and then a chem read and then everything in between. I'm so lucky that I got this job. I made some of my best friends on this job, and I just absolutely adore this movie too, so I'm excited.
These grifters on YouTube don't want you to see the entire clip, because when you do, their narrative and hate campaign about this up-and-coming actress who is just trying to make it in the industry completely falls apart. And that is what these anti-woke people always do. They lie to you so that they can send a mob of people to hate on whoever they decide they want to demonize next. And yet, the same people want you to believe that they are against cancel culture and the woke mob, when the only time they are ever actually against any type of mob mentality is when someone gets cancelled for saying something that they agree with. Like when Gina Carano got fired by Disney for saying some very controversial things about vaccines and stuff like that. And then people such as the Critical Drinker went from saying she can't act and is just a cage fighter to basically making heroic poems about the actress in one of the most embarrassingly cringe flip-flops imaginable.
But for the life of me, I'll never understand why they cast Gina Carano. I mean, she's big and burly, and she obviously knows what she's doing when it comes to the fight scenes, but she's a fucking cage fighter, not an actor. Watching her trying to emote is almost as painful as watching Brie Larson trying to be funny. Gather round, dear viewer, as I tell you a tale. It's the tale of a woman who stood tall in the face of jealousy, cowardice, hatred and vengeance, and dared to utter a single word. No. It's the story of the girl who wouldn't back down. Our story begins a long time ago in a far-off land, with a young woman who decided to become a warrior. Now, this was very unusual, because few women chose such a path for themselves, but she was steadfast and determined to succeed. This young woman proved to be strong and brave. She fought and won many battles, and earned herself great acclaim. But the young woman had her eyes set on a higher goal, and eventually she gave up her life of fighting, traveling instead to the great kingdom of Hollywood.
Now, why all of the lies? Why all of the pushing narratives, grifting, and all of that stuff? Well, one of the motives is that they hate equality, and they want you to hate it too. I mean, it's not just a coincidence that almost all of the people they target in their hate campaigns happen to be either black, female, gay, trans, etc. And they often say very bigoted sounding stuff, like how the Critical Drinker calls the new Captain America
Captain Black Ant Falcon Man.
But also, so many of them just want to sell you something, because if they can convince you that all of the competition hates you if you are a white man, then they can definitely capitalize on that. Yellow Flash and Young Ripper have comics. The Critical Drinker has books and movies. Tom McDonald, a guy who makes music about wokeness, has a bunch of albums that you have to buy physical copies of and you can't just listen to online for free, like most other musicians' music. And I'm not saying I'm against people creating stuff and trying to make some money for what they made. I'm just saying, there was also a financial incentive to latch onto the anti-woke movement, even beyond the money you can make on YouTube through AdSense. And it's not just YouTubers who latch onto the topic of wokeness to sell people on stuff. Also a lot of political figures. Ben Shapiro has an entire streaming service. Elon Musk has, well, many companies, including a brand new AI video game company, which I'm sure will definitely not have any negative effects on the video game industry. And President Trump, yes, one of the things he campaigned on was fighting against wokeness and the woke mob. Well, he wanted you to vote for him so he can be president. And I don't believe it was just a case of politicians hijacking a movement that began online. I think the anti-woke movement was always a political one that disguised itself as something as innocent as film criticism. I mean, you've got Pop Culture Crisis, a podcast that often talks about woke stuff, and that also just so happens to be owned by Timcast Media. Almost all of these anti-woke YouTubers always campaigning for MAGA and Trump. And there was also this massive live stream collab a lot of them did with Alex Jones. But even if, after everything I went over in this video, you still don't believe I'm correct in saying all of the stuff about wokeness is a bunch of nonsense, don't just listen to me. Take it from Jeremy Prime, the creator of Geeks and Gamers, a company and YouTube channel that is basically like the MCU of anti-woke YouTubers. So many of them have ties to it. This is what he has said. dead.
Did we just talk about One Piece for 5 minutes? Yes or no?
We didn't.
Yes,
One
we
Piece
did.
was used, but we didn't talk about it.
No. Welcome to every video we make. We use one little thing and then we build the narrative out of it. Don't act like that's not what we do.
I don't build a narrative. I
You're
give
on
my
absolute
opinion.
fucking.
You are hard.
What we do. You've made the same fucking video on the same topic at least 7 times a week, Ryan. And you're gonna act like we don't do that.
I talk about
Brie
I talk
Larson
about
says one fucking thing and we make a whole video out of it. That's what we do.